For a session presented by American Express Travel, please welcome the Vice President of Global Airline and Car Partnerships and Programs at American Express Travel, Manisha Jain, in discussion with SkiftX Head of Studio, Jeremy Kressmann.
Manisha, welcome to Skift Aviation Forum.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I think it's no surprise we've seen a lot of changes in the passenger experience of flying these past 3 years. And when we talk about passenger experience, of course, I think there's few companies like American Express that have this wealth of data and insights into traveler preferences. So I wanted to talk to you about some of those passenger trends and think about how they can help those of us in our aviation audience here today be smarter about their own business. Manisha, we know that a bigger and bigger chunk of the flying public is now made up of these younger travelers. I'm talking about Gen Z, Millennials. They've entered that age where they have more disposable income. What habits or preferences are different for this generation of flyers than we're seeing maybe in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeremy. The younger generation is definitely out in full force, and we're ready for them. It's a huge focus for us. I would say Millennials and Gen Z made up almost 60% of newly acquired accounts in Q3.
Okay.
They're spending more,
Yeah.
but as a whole, we see that our customer base has increased the T&E spend by 13%. So travel is very important, and it's largely being driven by experiences. But what I find actually really interesting is that the way they think about luxury is a little bit different than what we're used to in the past, right?
Oh, okay.
They will fly business class, but they'll stay in a youth hostel. And so we're looking at our programs to ensure that we have the right benefits in place that really ladder up to their needs. There's a lot of premium spend in the airspace. We know that American Express, over half of our air sales are in the premium cabins. They spend more when they book through us. And so we
Sure.
see that also with our younger generation. So we're working with airlines that have a premium economy cabin. The benefits and the price point really resonates well with this group. So really listening to our partners, understanding what they're doing. We know a lot is happening in the airline space when it comes to distribution,
Right.
And that will certainly influence what we do in the future as well.
As an older millennial myself, I can certainly understand that high-low dichotomy when I travel. So we've seen a big shift these past 3 years towards more contactless, more self-serve, this digitization process. What is American Express seeing in terms of how travelers are booking flights and managing flights? Is that also being digitized as well?
Absolutely. So American Express is over 170 years old. We started as an express mail company, if you can believe it. And we've been in the travel business now for over 100 years. So when you think about that length of time, the word innovation really comes to mind, and how important that is to be able to bring throughout your journey. I'm sure you will fall in this bucket, but the majority of our customers are booking online, which is really no surprise to anyone.
Not a surprise, no.
And that actually increases more with the younger generation. So we're really investing in the technology and resources to uplift the customer experience, make it easier for them to book online. We know that in this sort of post-pandemic era, flexibility is very important.
Absolutely.
We've seen the airlines make their own changes and allowing for that. And so now we've enabled customers to be able to make modifications in the online channel without having to pick up the phone and call for something very simple. So also products like Trip Cancel Guard will allow you to cancel your flight for almost any reason. So
Right.
a lot happening in the space to make it easier for our customers to book.
Yeah, that modification online is a key point. I know that's always been a challenge, but we're seeing a lot more of that now.
Yeah.
So we just talked about this changing digital experience, but I want to talk about the physical experience of actually moving through the airport, because that's a big part of travel as well.
Right.
What shifts are you seeing in this younger generation and what they're expecting in their time in transit going through that airport experience?
Yeah, this is one where I think age really doesn't have any boundaries. My kids are now in middle school, high school, and we traveled a lot when they were younger. And when they were 2 years old, they did not want to wait in a line. And you know what? Neither do I, right? So
Nobody
I
does.
think no matter what the age, right? I think people want ease and comfort when they go through their journey, and we really try and unlock that through card membership. So whether you're using your Uber credit and getting to the airport, or going through security with your Clear membership, having an amazing meal at one of our 1,400 lounges in our Global Lounge collection, the Amex membership really helps bring those things to life and make the journey easier for you. So I mentioned also our lounges. We are very excited right now to be celebrating 10 years of the Centurion Lounge Network. And this is actually really special for me because I worked on our first lounge that was open in Vegas just 10 years ago.
Right, okay.
And we were really pioneers in this space, you know, when it came to like a credit card company opening up an airport lounge and really changing the way people, you know, really looked at airport lounges. And I happened to be there actually in Vegas last month to see U2 at the Sphere, which I also recommend in addition to seeing our lounge. Amazing. But the space was really different, you know, and that kind of speaks to innovation and really understanding what our customers want now that they didn't before and making those changes. So we work with amazing chefs. We have very unique designs, great amenities. Here in Dallas-Fort Worth, we work with Chef Dean Fearing, who wrote the Texas Food Bible. So I'm really excited to visit that lounge later today. But a lot of, you know, premium benefits that resonate well with the younger generation. Great drinks, great, you know, mixologists. We always hear from our customers that they arrive early. If there's going to be a Centurion Lounge there, I know I certainly do. If it's like a flight during dinner time and I can avoid making dinner at home, why not go have a great meal and then board the flight?
It's already part of
ready to go.
Privileges, right? So let's talk for a minute, Manisha, about route planning. This is obviously a topic that's very important to airlines, thinking about where they fly, what destinations are emerging. And I imagine you're sitting on quite a bit of information from cardholder data about where people are booking. What trends are you seeing either domestically or internationally in terms of where people want to go now that may help our audience?
Yeah, I'm sure you also have things that inspire you when it comes to travel. But in our global travel trends data, we saw that things like dining, wellness, set jetting are all different ways that are inspiring customers. Right, that was a new for me too. And so that is really when you're watching your favorite TV show and it makes you want to go to that destination.
Okay.
Right. So here in the Southwest, I think Yellowstone comes to mind, and that show has I think done wonders for bringing attention to that part of the country. I was a big White Lotus fan, and it was in a beautiful destination in Italy. And whenever I watched that, I just wanted to be transported there immediately, right? So that is on my bucket list. But a lot of travel off the beaten path. You know, people want new experiences, new adventures. They want to get that picture that no one else has. But we will always see the more, you know, tried and true destinations be on our list because those are great places as well. But it's nice to see some new up and coming places beyond there. And I would just add that, you know, airlines are also expanding their network, right? And we're seeing new destinations to more obscure places as well. So really together, there's a lot of inspiration coming from all different parts that are helping people plan their travel.
That's great. So we're obviously talking about air travel today, but there's this whole ecosystem of partners that support the flight experience, right? Ground transportation, the hotel you stay at, where I eat at the airport. Tell me why American Express's approach to partnerships is so beneficial, both for customers and also if you're an airline that's thinking about partnerships.
Right. So partnerships is very important to American Express. I would say that it's really the bread and butter behind everything that we do, and we're very thoughtful about who we partner with. Through this conversation, I mentioned a few partners that we work with, Uber and Clear, but there's also a lot of incredible customer value. Whether you're looking for a cheaper fare when you're flying, you know, international or front of cabin through our international airline program, getting up to $600 worth of value when you book a Fine Hotels and Resorts property. Those are really just a few things where there's a lot of value there for customers that would not be possible without our partners, right? And we also give our partners in exchange, we give them access to our high net worth customers who love to travel. And so together, when we're able to sort of bring these experiences to life, that's what keeps them coming back, and that's exactly what we want.
I noticed you mentioned in your last response about high net worth travelers. I'm actually curious because that's another segment in addition to younger travelers I think is very much of interest to the aviation sector, anyone that works in business. What trends are you seeing in terms of how high net worth travelers are spending or what we can learn from them?
Yeah, so the American Express customer base is very affluent, and that's really reflected in the way they spend, especially how they spend in travel. I mentioned that we have a lot of premium spend in air, so over half of our sales are in the premium cabins. They spend more when they book through us, but it doesn't really just end there. Even when they get to their destination, they're staying at the suites, you know, at the hotels, they're spending more on property. So a lot of this data is really indicative to show how affluent this customer base is. They're really the ones that you want in your airlines, in your hotels, and to have them keep coming back and book.
We talked about route planning and where people are going. Where are you going in the near future?
Well, like I mentioned, I'm really excited to hopefully be visiting Italy next year and that Sicily destination where White Lotus is. That's one. And then we're also really into adventures. You know, now that my kids are older, they don't want to sit on the beach anymore. They want to go and do things. So Costa Rica has been on my list for a while. Again, you know, it's a little bit, I would say, more rustic than what I would be used to, but looking for something new to try.
Sounds like you're going to be set jetting yourself.
Exactly.
Manisha, this has been a lot of fun. If you want to learn more about American Express travel, you can go to amextravel.com. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Good.